first topic up, said, how do you feel about, black men dating outside of the race?
I think it's cool. Love is love. I mean, you can't always control who you love or who you like. So why not?
I think that females may look at that slap in the face, or look at it as a slap in the face, more because of the things that come with it, and that's the things that they say about black women that's different from a white woman. So they say, hey, black woman is, very hood, or she's ghetto, and then a white woman will always have good credit. She'll be, submissive and things like that. So I think that's the reason why they may look at it as a slap in the face, only because of things that come with it that's said towards the black female.
So does that mean us black women need to step our game up?
Well, I'm not really saying that. I'm not saying that there are not black women out there who have good credit, who are doing what they need to do. It's more of a thing where I think that when they actually see it, the only thing that they have to actually pin to that is what's said that's different between a white woman and a black woman.
It's their feeling, man. It's their own inadequate feeling. I think they feel as though when they know that you can carry yourself a certain kind of way, and nowadays men have options where they don't have to accept that. It's a wide spectrum of women out here versus you do have some black women who may be labeled as loud or anything like that, but it's more of a stigma for them versus going outside of race. I personally don't swirl, but
Smell it swirl.
I can't swirl. I personally don't swirl, but I think it's a personal preference thing, man. Some people just don't want to deal with that because of the stigma. They don't even may not know that woman in particular they may meet, but the stigma is what may drive them away from it.
I think a better question is, why do people date outside their race?
I think it's determined by what they're exposed to.
Yeah.
You stay in the city, you're going to, of course, that's what's around. You go away to college in, say, Michigan, California. Prime example. It's all about what you're exposed to.
I think it starts definitely at college level sometimes. That's when it really starts to become an impact.
Like, realistically speaking, if you want to date somebody outside your race, because you got to think, we all may be growing up in the city, but you got to think about people from Essex, outside of the city, who go to high school, even middle school, with white kids, you know what I mean? His first girlfriend when you young might be a white girl, you know what I mean? You might not want to bring her home to mom, you know what I'm saying? Because that might not be what she know, but it be like that sometimes.
I mean, I actually went to a high school that had a mixture of white and black students, but you really didn't get that, you didn't see black people dating white people or anything like that. I mean, everybody stayed within their race in high school. Like Jonte said, I think it does actually get to a point where I think it's the college level where people start to feel like, I'm going to do something different than what I've been doing before. Right. And I think when you're younger, if you were to date outside your race in high school, I think you're kind of afraid of that how people will look at you at that point. Because when you're in high school, right? When you're in high school, you're looking to fit in. Everybody trying, whatever. I don't think that you really just like, I ain't gonna lie, that white girl, she bad.
I mean, that goes in the culture and your surroundings anyway.
It does, but I'm just saying that.
You living in Baltimore City, I'm from West Baltimore, Park Heights. There's no white girls there, but when I went to college, when I went to California, I only talked to one black girl. I knew black girls, but it wasn't.
It might be a region
It's more of a. It's an option thing.
It might be a region thing.
It's an option.
On the eastern shore of Maryland, where I went to college, there were a lot of interracial couples. I mean, a lot. You saw that and you saw. I mean, it was just driving down the street.
In that area, it's potent down there.
Right.
Like, it's potent down there because you figure you have an historically black college right here, and less than 10 miles away, you have a white college that has been there for, when I applied to Salisbury was 97% white. Now, I knew I never wanted to go, but I applied. It was 97% white, and it's less than 10 miles from Eastern Shore.
And Eastern Shore was probably 97% black.
Right, but that was potent down there, man. Like,
it's all from your selection, man. What can you select from? If that's what you only see black girls, of course you're going to I want black. That's all you know.
So
sounds about right.
With BJ, with you going to school in LA and being on a sports team, the options open up then. So how does that?
How many white groups you had?
How does that?
You ever saw he got game?
How does that
Jesus.
vary with your selection?
Actually, the community, the spot that I was in was in Southern California. There wasn't too many black girls anyway. So it was like, LA period is a melting pot. So it was a lot of Mexicans, anything the Spanish culture. So that's who I was messing with. To me, I love the exotic because it was something different. Not saying that I won't talk to a black girl because I do, but when I went there, it was like, oh, I never seen that candy before.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Now that you've had that experience, now if you meet a female of that culture or of that ethnic background, it's not like rare, or it's not like a weird thing for you to actually talk to her and get serious with her.
Exactly. That's more so. That's probably one of the problems. Like the average African American is not going to go talk to a white girl because you don't think we have anything in common.
Right.
That's the thing that I get from every guy that I talk to, or especially a younger guy. They don't know like what to go say to them. Like what can we talk about? We don't have anything in common. But you don't know like they really. It's easy. It's just that if you don't look at the skin color like we're supposed to and just talk to them, then
have a conversation.
Like
we have a lot of
exposed to that. You don't have that. You know what I mean?
Just have a conversation.
I think that's a real important factor. Sometimes you don't know how to approach it.
That's the main thing.
Outside of your
For where I am in my life and what I've accomplished, I want to share that with another black woman who accomplished the same thing I accomplished. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want. Not saying there's something wrong with it, but that's just my choice. You know what I'm saying? Like from me being from inner city, you know what I mean? Chances I wasn't supposed to make it to 21. I don't want to share that with somebody from a different race. I want somebody who's of my race that will understand that legacy and pass that on. You know what I mean?
I think that's where the beef comes at, from right there. With females feeling that way.
With this Beyoncé statement, when she say she was drinking watermelon, like what the fuck was she talking about?
I think he was talking about
Give us some good ass head.
yeah,
Some good ass
like drinking
head.
seeds, eating seeds, like drinking his kids. That's what I was just
The
taught
head
today.
that's worth of
Wow.
applause.
I
That's
saw
what I was
that.
taught today.
I saw that and read
And I'm gonna
that.
run with that.
But honestly,
I'm with you, BJ.
that seems like it's kind of a far reach.
How?
And I'm not.
It's reach though.
No, what I'm saying
What's
is,
your reach?
but drinking watermelon, like period, like what does watermelon have to do? Like, is it just because it has seeds in it? Like,
It might be.
is that where you're getting it from?
Right. What does the average man want? What does the average man want? Spit or swallow?
No, look, I heard a lot of it. I heard what she said in the song, and I heard a few other songs on it.
Not even like
She definitely probably not even like
In particular,
in real life. She probably
partition,
like
what
that.
she was saying,
gosh.
all over the, all
No,
that.
but
You know,
listen,
I don't know. Hold on.
Get back to his girl.
After I heard
Like, you know
partition, I
Beyonce's-
go with what he say.
seeds.
Yeah, I think that's what she's talking about.
After actually listening to the whole verse,
Listen.
it sounds like she's actually starting with how she's been drinking, and I mean, to me, it's just like
However
she's
you
drunk.
feel comfortable taking
She's like, I'm sorry, I apologize. I've been drinking
watermelon. That's how that shit go.
Because it's not like the pineapple thing.
It's like a
we all know
martini,
what
watermelon
eating a
martini.
pineapple means. That's nothing like the watermelon.
But I actually thought about it, and the thing is, certain fruits are aphrodisiacs, and they say watermelon is an aphrodisiac.
Which it is. It is.
A lot of berries.
But also to take this a step further, like on the watermelon.
Yeah, I'm just saying it. I just look at it as she said something and she put it in a vague sense so that people would think.
That line was made for us to do this right
Exactly.
She didn't even write the song.
It's not edited.
Real life.
You're right.
It's not edited.
So I
So
think that she did exactly what she was supposed to do. We sitting here, actually.
My whole thing is
Communicating
this.
and talking about it,
This is
conversing
what
about it.
kills me. Yo. You got the older following who would have never thought about nothing like that, who have never done nothing like that, but because Beyonce said
Old
it,
missionaries.
now all of a sudden,
Old missionaries.
now all of a sudden, because Beyonce said it, nigga, I've been drinking watermelon all day. You know how that, you know what I mean? It changed now. You know what I mean? And just because she got that clout with her fan base and that level of a following now, like Beyonce never been on no situation where she be talking about, whatever that partition, like the whole song about the change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And everybody ain't really,
that,
but yo, like it's crazy now because you see that people who wouldn't normally talk in that certain kind of, like vibe, now follow her right with it. Now all of a sudden they on that.
I wonder how the fan base. I wonder how the fan base look at it though, because I mean, because she always started out as just this classy entertainer. You know what I mean? She was this classy entertainer who never. I don't know if because I listen to her somewhat, but I'm not really like. I don't listen to every single thing she comes out with. But for her to go from that classy, persona to something that's like you're talking about Jay-Z coming on a gown. I mean, it's just like it's completely different.
Next topic.
At the same time.
The thing being, good grades don't get you a successful job. I think, growing up in our households, we was always told, go to school, get good grades. And good grades always was A's or B's. Your parents didn't want you to be, average. Then I guess that actually, traveled with you to college. You should always get A's or B's. But those good grades, nowadays, I don't think they, secure you a job. In our heads growing up, some black people could say, I've got A's and B's. I can be successful in a job. But sometimes you need more than just book knowledge to, compete in the everyday life. So what do y'all think about that?
In real life, listen. This, I'm gonna come out like, as far as we talk about when you younger and stuff like that, those words, whether they're encouraging you or you don't like them or not, they are needed. You know what I'm saying? Because when you that young like that, good grades in a broken school system will always help you. You know what I mean? Like, coming from me who, like, listen, I had good grades all the way through school. Now, I ain't always do the right thing, but I had good grades all the way through school. But at the same time, that didn't still help me to propel me into college. You know what I mean? I came into college prepared because of my own self. Like, I did things on my own, but, I mean, I graduated 5 in my class, number 5. And went to school and was still like, it's still some things that I still had to pick up, you know what I mean? So that still you always got to push for that. Now, at the same time, though, you still have to have a balance of just basic common sense. You know what I'm saying? Just basic common sense. One thing that my pops always told me was, he was like, the longer people stay in school, the less common sense they have.
Career students.
Right. Because, you know what I mean, they grow to get rid of their common sense. You always got to have that balance, man. Like, man, I thank God for the street smarts I had. Because, that helped me in a whole bunch of other stuff that University of Maryland Eastern Shore didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's real. You always got to have a healthy balance of both. But as far as coming up, you got to have them book smarts, man. You got to have
it goes into a lot of the people that come out, they don't have any type of social intelligence. Right. We don't even got to say book smart or street smarts. I mean, they say it all the time. The A students always wind up working for the C students. I mean, this is always how it always goes. But a lot of the kids that come up, they don't have you. I mean, you're an A student, but when we go to that interview, you don't know, to shake that guy's hand firmly. You know what I'm saying? You don't know to
create that rapport.
Right. You don't know the basic skills, social skills. Yeah. Put it that way. It's just basic social skills. You're an A student. You don't have the people skills. We can't put you in a room to talk to anybody. You want to grow up to be a marketing director or accountant and things like. But you don't. You know what I'm saying? You can't talk to anybody. You're a bookworm. Yeah. That's cool. And I'm saying grades are great.
You can't communicate your point effectively
at all.
Without, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
Like I said, it has to be a balance. Like you're a straight A student, but there's nothing else to offer. Like you can't even put on a shirt and tie. Like you know what I'm saying? It's more to it than just being book smart.
My thing is, if you're a bookworm, those books usually get outdated. And the way that you have been taught through that book, another person has thought of a more unique way or probably a faster approach to actually deal with a problem. And that's where your common sense has to come in play. You got to be able to adapt to any situation based off of the foundational skills that were in that book.
I don't think that the book has anything to do with it, though. I mean, you can learn the fundamentals of something or the theory of something, and then be able to apply it a different way later, no matter what. You'll adapt after you read it. You know what I mean? Depending on how you, even if it changes, you'll adapt after you read it. You'll understand exactly what you read, and then be able to apply that later in a different way. But I honestly, like what you said, the A students wound up working for the C students. The reason is because the C students had those experiences in high school and college that brought that confidence. So if you're able to walk into an interview or you're able to walk into a place and you have a confidence when you're speaking, then it's completely different than the guy who comes in there who is book smart, who has all the knowledge that you can think of, but he comes in there and he's like, so I mean, honestly, I just think that the way that you would handle that situation is something that the interview guy is in front of you.
You get a straight analytical answer.
Exactly, and that's fine. And that's fine. The introverts are the guys that you keep down in the weeds. The introverts, those guys who can't produce, in front of a customer or something like that, you put them in the weeds because they're going to do that groundwork. But the guys that you actually need, the managers, the supervisors, and the guys that are talking to, communicating, the program managers, the people who are actually talking to the people of the other company, are the C students. Why? Because they have those social skills to actually say, you know what, you want to go out for a beer, you want to go out for a drink, let's have some fun, you know what I mean?
That's what's missing. And that's what's missing sometimes with the A students. I mean, you got to know how to adapt to different people. Everyone isn't the same. You know what I mean? You got to be able to go into a meeting and still connect with a person on something that's relatable outside of that book.
It's got to be. It just got to be a healthy balance because you're not gonna be able to talk your way out of everything.
No,
you know what I'm saying? Some things you're gonna have to be able to rely on the work that you have done.
We're not saying go get a C, but a C does. You gotta be a balance.
It has to be a healthy balance of both.
C is a little bit.
It means you was focused on something else that will get you where you need to be.
C was a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I have C's on my resume. I have C's on my transcript. I had that, but that was just me balancing out other things.
Yeah, right.
So you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just what it was. To me, when I was in school, certain classes was like, it really didn't excite me at all. So, I'm going to do what I need to do to get by with that C. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I don't need to come to class, but I know everything on that test.
I went to University of Maryland Eastern Shore, right? And there's a few people in here who can attest to me failing some courses. It took me 5 years. I'm just saying, I graduated with an electrical engineering degree, right? And now I'm a systems engineer. I actually have two people that are working for me. One went to Princeton and one went to Harvard. Completely smarter than I am, honestly. And sometimes I see it when I'm having a conversation with them, and it's just like, all right, you just lost me right there. But so it happens. And the reason why I'm saying this, or the reason why I want to bring this up, is because when we actually go into those meetings, or when it's time to send somebody over to another company and actually speak to the customer, they send me. They don't send those guys. Like I said, those guys just stay in the weeds.
You gotta have that gift of gab as well.
And that's what it's about, man. It's a good balance.
College
is not only about you learning the book work, but you develop some social skills, man. Social skills.
Oh my God.
To this day, the same reason why I mentor the younger guys, man. Middle school, high school, and I tell them all the time, even if you don't think college is for you, spend a year there.
Go.
And just go. And understand. Just see what you're gonna see, because to be honest, you gain so much experience. My freshman year, listen, I was smarter than a lot of the classes I had. So I ain't really had to study freshman year. So a lot of that was all my social work. You know what I mean? It was all social work, but it took that to get out of my system and understand that, hey, you know what, I may need this in the future.
Realest thing my coach told me coming out of high school, man, he said, I don't care where you go. I was getting recruited by everybody. I don't care where you go, just make sure you're not in Maryland.
I was about to say something about that. Like the difference, you saying go to college, but if you're going away or staying home,
never know
what's the difference? Because I mean,
no, there's a big difference.
Man, it is a difference. That's what I'm saying. What's the difference? Like,
there's a difference. So you will meet different types of people.
I'm not from here. I went away.
I got accepted to Morgan with basically like a 3/4 scholarship. They would have paid for 3/4 of everything I took, but I ducked that and went to Eastern Shore because I know, hands down, if I'd have stayed in Baltimore and went to college, I probably wouldn't have graduated.
I mean,
So Eastern Shore was your
stayed in
last
state.
That break for me. That
So
break for me.
It was different for me.
But I
also,
would
but-
listen. My whole thing was I didn't want to be as accessible to home.
Yeah, it affects your decision.
Right. I didn't want to be just did that. You know what I mean? I can rely on home. You know what I mean? Eastern Shore, 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours away. You know what I mean? You can't just pack up and say, you know what? Forget this. I'm going home. You can't just do that. And that Eastern Shore in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean? You can't just pack them and do that.
Well,
That was a part of the. That was a part of the decision. You know what I mean? Like that was definitely a part of the
I
decision.
mean, it's a different. Y'all two, y'all stayed home. I mean, and then most of us went out of state for college.
Right.
It's just certain things that you learn, not being in your comfort zone and learning different cultures. Me being 6 hours away flying to California and then 6 hours driving to North Carolina, you get two different cultures that you coincide with, that you learn different things that you need. Now I can be in a room with anybody.
Breaking that stability of being able to go home
I think
is what's going to make you.
the difference
That's
that
what it's
I
about.
did in college was when I went to college, I surrounded myself around people who weren't particularly from Baltimore. Like it was people at Morgan that were from Brazil, from Germany, I was getting different cultures. That wasn't, I mean, the same things that you probably got out of state, I got at Morgan. It just was on my own personal,
Accord. So that's the
That's
thing.
the difference.
But most people won't do that.
But if you stay home and you're not as outgoing as you were, then you will, stick to what you know,
Right.
instead of actually broadening your horizons and actually meeting people outside of it.
It's
Even
easier
so
if
there's
you can
difference.
fall into the position where you're comfortable at home.
Yeah, I mean,
Versus you
it
being
depends on
open-minded.
Even with that, you have an option. See, me being in California,
He didn't have one.
You have an option.
You don't have one.
You know what I'm saying? You did that because you had the option. Me, I didn't have the option. I was the only one at my school from Baltimore.
Okay.
Only one from my school from the East Coast. Exceptions for Florida and Atlanta, stuff like that. So it's like Baltimore, you weren't really in your comfort zone with people from where you
Exactly.
Straight all the way with the D.
It was crazy.
Straight with it.
My first year in college, everybody, related me to The Wire. Like,
And the same thing happened.
like it was crazy. Like, it was like, take me around the city. I want to see something like on The Wire. They thought that was, not saying that it doesn't happen around the city. They just thought it was everywhere, like at every corner.
But that's because of media. People
Yeah.
thought that me. I'm from where? Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's
You don't
where
get
you
no
from.
more white than that.
You from Bucktown?
Bucks County, like little white town.
I mean, that's the
So
culture.
when I knew I was going to Baltimore, everyone's like, "Well, oh my God, The Wire! Oh my God,
I don't
it's
even
gonna be
receive mail
okay."
there.
I know.
First of all,
P.O. Box.
For me, I went to I started off going to college at Villa Julie, which was it's Stevenson University now, and it was like so white when I went there, and I felt so I was uncomfortable at home. I mean, I didn't live on campus, but I mean, it's still in Maryland, so I still felt uncomfortable. So it's kind of like I had to fight to try to keep my blackness. Yeah, like it was kind of, and I ended up. I stayed there for 2 years. Stevenson. Well, I say Villa Julie because that's what I remember it is. It's in the middle of. I shouldn't say nowhere. It's like down in the deep valley somewhere. So I ended up.
It is
deep down in the. You gotta go down a long.
She said down.
The way you came from, but if you take Parkite straight up,
Parkite.
I'm from East Baltimore.
That's what I was going to say. So you came to Laney Road all the way up.
Green Spring Valley.
Yeah, that's
Straight up.
And I ended up moving to Atlanta to go to school. So that was like a whole different, like the whole 10 to 12 hour drive away from home. Like that was like a total different experience. So I would definitely say like.
But it's good that you had both of those experiences.
Exposure is the key, though.
That is, and I agree.
Exposure is the key.
I agree because I went to
gotta be
Coppin.
exposed to different things.
I went to Coppin for I went to Coppin for 2.5 years for pharmacy. I should have stuck with it. I ended up transferring to Morgan and finished up with a whole nother major, marketing. Why? I don't know. But the question is, as I sat there and thought about it halfway through the marketing program, I'm like, it's no marketing here. Like, I mean, it's marketing research, marketing, database management, things of that sort. But there's no like premium marketing, brand marketing that I wanted. So I'm like, I even thought about going to a whole nother program. So I'm actually to the point where I'm thinking about going back and finishing up with the pharmacy thing, going to pharmacy school.
Or move.
I can't.
And that's what it was.
Or move.
If I'd have stayed here at the pharmacy, I'd have been fine.
But
and I could have went to pharmacy
something
school
that's
in another
real though.
state.
Something that's really real is that
Marketing is not here.
Different topic now.
is that we hold on. Let me say this though. Is that us for real? Our majors really don't be the problem. The problem is people be so uncomfortable with moving because if you
All right, we're
are
gonna jump in
diligent and
that. We're gonna jump on that when we come
yo,
back.
I'm gonna say if you
something to
diligent
say.
in your major, you can go somewhere that's potent with that. But people don't want to move away.
All right, we're gonna stop on that. We're gonna stop on that. I got something to say on that when we come back. We'll take a little break.